Welcome to Insight Builder channel, data leaders and Python learners. Mastering config parser library, keeping your secret safe in Python application. The problem, you want to keep the secrets like password, API keys, etc. safe and at the same time share your code. You have to use these keys inside the code, but it should not be visible to anybody. That is the problem. How Python ecosystem solves this is by using a library called as configparser. This library has to be installed separately. It doesn't come by default built into Python installation. You have to use pip install configparser and install it. You can get more information about this library in this link. And now, before we head to the Jupyter notebook, I want to give a brief about the example. What we'll be doing is we'll be using the config parser library in a real world scenario for keeping the AWS secrets safe. AWS here is the Amazon Web Services cloud service, and this cloud service provides access keys and access secrets that I want to keep it safe. Let us go to the terminal. In the terminal, you should have already downloaded the GitHub repo that I am sharing in the description. You can use git clone and download the repo. The link will be shared in the description as I already explained. After you download, change directory into the repo directory, python_d and learners_data, and inside the directory on your command prompt, type this command Jupyter space notebook. Once you type this, it will spawn the server, Jupyter Notebook server. If you have either not installed Python or if you have not installed Jupyter Notebook, do take a look at my earlier videos that I have shared on Python basics, how to come up to speed, and also the Python ecosystem playlist in which I have covered how to install Jupyter Notebook and how to use it. These things also will be shared. The links of the playlist also will be shared in this video tags, so you can get the tags in the right side of the video. Just click on the exclamation mark at the top. You can get the video list tagged in this video, so click that. You can get the details. After you have successfully launched the Jupyter Notebook, you will get a link like this. Just press control on your keyboard, control key on your keyboard, and click on this link. What will happen is it will open a terminal. It will open a Internet Explorer like browser like Chrome or Internet Explorer. So let me go to my browser now. In the browser, you will see that it has these folders, the links that looks like folders. And if you think they are folders, yes, they are. So click on code_scripts_notebooks. You will actually see the other data inside that. Other folders inside that. All these are folders that I have shared in the GitHub repo. So you don't need to be concerned that where these folders came from. It is coming from the folder. Let me go back to the terminal. Okay, I have a different kind of a terminal here where it is called as terminal multiplexer in Linux. I will be explaining this later, but as of now, I will just do a list directory. And you see that there are code_script notebook presentation resources. This is same. If you go back to the Internet Explorer, the browser, you see code_scripts presentation resources. This is same. It is just serving this server, this page, web page is serving whatever is there in your own folder. It is nothing new. Okay. This is just I want to give. If you are new, if you are surprised, then I don't want to keep you in the loop. So what we are going to do now is, let us go to Jupyter Notebooks. Inside that, I want you to click on this file. This is called as a notebook file. Click on this. And once you click on that, it will open the notebook file. Whenever the video is blank, like black, it means I am opening the notebook. And it will take a moment or two to populate the window. Inside the window, you will see lots of cells like this, gray cells. These are called as Jupyter Notebook cells, and these cells can be changed into two types. So either it can be a code cell or it can be a markdown cell. A markdown is a type of HTML. it's not exactly HTML, but it is a way of presenting the text inside the server, the internet related servers. So it is one of the ways of doing it. So as of now, you don't need to be very much concerned about what is markdown, but you can convert a cell into markdown. So if I click on this cell and if I come to this option, come to the cell type and click on markdown, this cell will become markdown. So that means I cannot execute this cell. So you see, it becomes like a proper text. If you want to again convert it back to the code, then come here and click on code, and you can see there is shortcut keys also. Y and M are the shortcut keys. The first and foremost cell here is asking you to import various libraries called AWS Wrangler, Pandas, Boto3. And if in case, if you are new to Python and you have just now installed Python, you have not installed anything else, and just following this series of videos, playlists, and you have installed the Jupyter notebook, then if you execute this particular cell, it will throw an error. It will say that the AWS Wrangler library is missing, or Pandas library, or Boto3, all the libraries are missing. What you need to do is you need to first of all execute this cell. What this cell, pip install AWS Wrangler, Boto3, Pandas, and configparser, is the same command that I explained in the presentation. Let me go back to the presentation. In the presentation, I told pip install configparser, right? Okay, one more important point. In this command line, I have used the configparser at the bottom, but when you are executing the code, it should be in the single line. So pip install configparser should come in the same line. This is due to the formatting here, I have put it in the second line. But when you come and execute in your terminal or in your notebook, it will be in a single line like this. So pip install AWS Wrangler, and you can install how many other libraries you want by leaving a space in the middle. So you can install AWS Wrangler, Boto3, Pandas, configparser, and you can add more libraries also if you want. This is how pip install works. So you need to complete this installation, and then if you execute this cell, it will work. The cell will execute without any question. So now I am going to execute this cell. Executing this cell is basically clicking on run button. So if you click on run button, the cell will execute. Or you can use Control Enter shortcut key. I will be mostly using Control Enter shortcut key. Next, I am going to see here, I have already imported configparser library. So I am importing various other libraries. So along with that, I am importing configparser also. As I already explained in one of the previous videos where I talk about the Python library, how it can be categorized, configparser is one of the general purpose library. So all these libraries that I'm installing, like warnings, configparser, pandas, these are all general purpose library to begin with. So these are all required by default. Actually, pandas may not be required. Sorry for that. Boto3 and AWS Wrangler might be required if you are working on AWS related services. But if you are working on AWS, then this will become a general purpose library. Okay. So I am trying to install these libraries ahead of time so that I can use this notebook again and again. The same way you can also use this notebook again and again. That is the point of keeping the notebook and the code, right? And that is the overall point of pushing the notebook to GitHub repo so that you can download it and you can use it how much ever time you want. And you can share this with anybody also, like how I am sharing it with you. Coming back to the point of config parser. So this line statement will create the config parser class. So how do I know that? It's very simple. I just execute this. The code has got executed. The number has changed here. And if I come and ask what is the type of parser, so type bracket open parser bracket close can be read as type of parser. Click execute. You will see config parser. So this is the class type config parser. So this is what it means. If you are still new to Python classes, etc., there is a very short primer of 30 minutes that I have done, where it introduces how to think about classes in Python, and you will build a lot of rockets there. So if you are interested, you can just check out the playlist. The video is also attached in this. So you will understand to think classes in a different way. Okay, now coming to the idea of safeguarding your secrets. That was the overall objective, right? I'm talking all kinds of stories here, but now coming to the important point, how to safeguard your secrets. Assume that you want to safeguard these variables. So you want to safeguard the location, you want to safeguard the visible yes or no, and you want to safeguard these things. But what you are seeing here, I have used this triple quotes and I have kept all the string open and it is showing to everybody how it is going to safeguard. The reason why I have done this is to explain, to show it to you how to read the strings. Okay, there is a method in parser object called read string that is able to read the strings, and once it reads it, you can actually get the data from this string by using the syntax shown here. So if I use the syntax parser, okay, before I go there, if any of the Python code has a hash in the front, that means it is a comment, which means the Python interpreter will not read it. It is only for human reading, it is not for Python reading. Now I have removed the hash, it becomes the code again. Now I execute it. You will see that parser is reading the location variable inside the string and it is returning me upper left. Okay, even now you are not convinced. How is this going to safeguard my secret? In reality, what will happen is when you are going to use it, you are not going to show any of these things. What you will do is you will take this entire value, whatever it is returning, right? You will actually store it inside a variable like this. Okay, and assume that I am going to make it as a comment so that you will not be able to see this. I have only recorded in the video. You will not be able to see this when you are going to get the file. And now the actual data is inside the location variable. So how to know whether the location variable has the data? So simple. Again, execute this and oh, okay, this is going to throw an error. Yeah, execute this, you will see upper left. So the data has been stored inside that. This is how you actually safeguard the information. Okay, again I'm going to comment this, so you will not be able to see this by default. No one will be able to see this. If I want to check any other variable like editable also, you can actually play around that. But I have the entire string open here, so anybody can see these strings, right? The actual way to work with config parser is by using the read file method, where you read the entire file and then put it inside the variable config parser variable like this. So you create one more credentials. This is an example I'm using. In this, I'm going to store the data that is inside the example.conf file. So I'm going to execute these two. And next, I am not going to show anything that is inside the file. I'm not going to share anything to you. And I'm going to just execute this third command where all the data inside the credentials variable is stored inside Python variable. Nothing is seen outside. Now you are wondering, okay, what is there inside these variables? If you are wondering, just remove the comment on this cell and execute, you will see the answer. Okay, now I'm going to recomment it. You will not be able to see this. If someone who has not watched this video get this file, they may not be able to understand what is going on. Okay, that is itself is one of the benefits of using this kind of library, right? Okay, now you are still thinking, okay, what is there inside this example.conf? How to find that out? If you are curious in that way, all you need to do is go back and you will see there is a file called example.conf in the same location where the notebook file is. Just click that. You will see that it contains all the string that the config parser library is reading. So let us go back to our notebook, and if you see, I showed you this AWS key, right? This data is actually inside here. So that is how you actually safeguard your data. And this example.conf file, I am sharing it with you in the GitHub repo as an example. And this is not my own original AWS access keys or secrets. So let me prove that to you. I am going to create a boto3 session using this command. I executed it, and I am going to use this boto3 session variable here, and I am going to execute this. and you will see that it throws an error telling that client error that the data is, the access key is wrong, so does not exist in our records. So this is an example which shows the power of using the config parser library and keeping the things safe, keeping your secrets safe. Going back to our presentation, we have seen how to use config. We have seen the problem, we have seen which library we can use, and there is also one more library that you can check out. It is called Hydra, written by Facebook research group, and we have seen an example. So you might have questions, and if you have any questions, do let me know. If you like this video, if you like my content, do subscribe, share it, and share it with your friends. You can even go to the playlist this video is part of, and you can share the entire playlist also. In that way, you will get the overall idea of how Python, how the ecosystem works. So there is an entire series of videos where I explain about the ecosystem. The playlist will be also somewhere in this location. I will be attaching that for your reference. Click that and look at the playlist. You will like that also. And yeah, stay tuned for the next video where I will be explaining about the OS module. That is going to be real fun because you will use Python to start working with your operating system. Now that is more powerful. So see you then. Stay tuned.